Hi there. I know it's been a long time since I've spoken to you all. I've been trying to make a video for about a week, and I just keep getting technical difficulties, complications, and interruptions. But I've decided to keep trying until I get this thing done, because I know that it's really something that I need and want to do is communicate with you all. It has been quite a wild ride. From the night that my aorta dissected, things have just been incredibly intense and challenging. And I haven't felt like myself. To be honest, my mind just went into fear and darkness. That night it began. The mind-body connection is an amazing thing. There is no separation. Mind, body, spirit. And I believe this whole experience, this whole injury and illness is to help me heal. The illness is the cure. And it's helping me heal from deeply buried wounds. Very deeply buried wounds. However, this is a healing like none other I've ever performed. It is affecting me on every single level. The physical, the mental, the emotional, and by far the spiritual. Because I believed that my peace that I had cultivated was intractable, that I couldn't lose it. And I did. And I have always said what can be destroyed must be destroyed because it isn't real anyway. What is real abides. So the fact that I feel like I lost myself and I lost my peace showed me that the self that I was identifying with and the peace that I was identifying with was not real. I can go deeper. I can go further. So to the extent that this experience has shown me that, I am deeply, deeply grateful. It is exactly what I asked for, that on the journey of my life, I get to heal and go deepest, the deepest that I possibly can, into the light. So that has been happening. Now, what I've been through, however, is extraordinarily challenging. The physical aspect of that surgery, I cannot tell you how painful and intense that was, how excruciating and difficult and challenging. And since I returned to Massachusetts, either my aorta has dissected again, or a part of the aorta that was repaired wasn't quite, didn't stick, in other words. And that has started me so that I was better before I got here. You would think in time I'd be improving, but in fact I had been getting much sicker thanks to a second dissection or a first dissection that was repeated. And so I ended up in the hospital here, and it was there that I really became fully aware of the true prognosis for me, the true extent of what's going on. And essentially the takeaway, and I'm not going to break it down because it's all medical details, but the takeaway is this. None of the doctors know how it could possibly be that I have survived this, or how I could continue to be completely functional on some level while having this extent of dissection. My entire aorta into my major arteries is dissected. And what does that mean? It's kind of like ruptured or ripped open. But somehow all of my organs are being fed enough blood. However, I've been put on a medication to reduce my blood pressure significantly so that it doesn't, I don't begin to hemorrhage. And these medications, the blood thinners and the blood pressure medications, are causing me to feel horrible. And in addition, in the healing process here, I've been having these symptoms, which actually started right away, but have become more and more, I've become more and more aware of the specifics of them, and they become more frequent and more intense. And that is, it begins with a feeling for about 3 seconds, very short, but very powerful feeling of terror, mortal terror. Just for 3 seconds, bam, I feel as if my life is in danger. It's horrifying. It's like as if you were to, say you were walking down a dark alley and somebody jumped out at you with a big knife. That panic that you would feel, which is followed by this heat that rises up through me that feels like lava hot. I feel burning up, and I begin to sweat, and my heart starts to pound very heavily, and then I develop a terrible throbbing headache. And this is increased, so that now I'm having them as frequently as every 5 minutes. So imagine, I have had to cultivate the ability to breathe through this terror. But imagine having that experience of terror 10 or 20 times an hour. It has been emotionally very, very difficult. And I believe that this is a healing of old wounds. And in fact, if you look at it literally, my heart was ripped open by the old wound. And now my heart is bigger. Literally. The car that hit me in Ébano, San Luis Potosí, caused damage to my aorta, which developed blood clots. Those blood clots then let loose in Texas and went through my heart and my vascular system and just ripped them open. So I've been looking at that. What is the metaphor? What is the meaning of this? And I see as I'm going through these different... The other thing that has happened is I feel like after the surgery I developed clinical depression, as many, if not most, people who are on the bypass machine do. And it's interesting because when you go through a surgery like I did, your heart is actually stopped for an extended length of time, and this machine keeps you alive, but your heart is stopped. Now, that has complications to the body on multiple levels, but it also, I believe, has complications to the spirit and to the mind. And after the surgery, I really got very weepy. I got very negative, very sad. These things needed to come up, and I've needed to be with them and love myself through them. And honestly, I haven't been very self-loving. My body has really, really been seriously affected and damaged by this whole experience. My entire body, besides being covered in scars, having gained roughly 100 pounds over the course of the surgery, so within hours I gained 100 pounds in liquid because of the blood transfusion. Now, if you remember correctly, I had a blood transfusion and they didn't have my blood type, which was O negative, which is the rarest type. And so they had to give me other blood types. And most people do not survive that. That is not something that is done. Not only did I survive it, but my blood type is now changed. I now have O positive blood type. And that is something I can find no doctor has ever heard of that I've spoken to, and I can find no history of anybody having gone through that. It was really intense what happened to me. And I had gotten very negative about my body, and the medication that I'm taking is affecting my hair and skin in addition. So my skin is all stretched out and lumpy. I have scars everywhere, and it's dried up, and my hair's fallen out. And I got very negative about my body. I wasn't loving my body. And I had to really work on that. I'm continuing to work on that. I looked in the mirror and I felt like I gained 100 years through this process. It was really, and of course as I walk around, I'm hobbling around, I feel like 100 years older than I was. I began to have like episodes of tearfulness and crying. And you know, the complication or the additional factor of this is that I have very good reason to be crying. I lost the walk, at least for now. And that was the best freaking thing I've ever done in my life. You guys gave me the most incredible journey of my life. And losing that, I had to grieve. Of course, I had to grieve. Now, here I am. I'm back in New England where it's gorgeous and I'm being cared for with such incredible kindness and generosity by my friends here, who've taken care of my every need and given me a place to live. But that can't last forever. They need me to be able to be independent. I am an adult, and I'm trying to find housing, and what I'm discovering is that I don't have enough money to live here. Now, I knew that, but I thought that there'd be a way. There must be a way, but I am not finding a place to live. What I can afford is to rent a room in a house or in an apartment with other people, and nobody seems to want me. I think nobody wants a sick person, but I've written probably 35 emails in response to rooms for rent, and I have only received 3 replies, and those places were unacceptable. And so I'm getting quite a little bit of panic, and what I see here is the cost of living is far more than I have. It's far more. So, and if you remember, when I decided to do this walk, I gave away and sold everything that I had. I did that with the faith that what I would need in the future would be provided to me. And that faith has certainly been true up till now, so I'm going to hold that faith. But maybe what I need is not what I'm trying to do here. I'm trying to stay because the doctors are telling me I should stay. However, my heart is calling for Mexico, and I need to heal my heart. I need to give my heart and my soul what it wants, and it's telling me go back. So I'm trying to figure out how to do that. Now, because they've never seen anything like this, the doctors can't say what my prognosis is. Some of them, it really depends on their own personal perspective. Some of them give me a very grim prognosis. There are doctors who say I will never be able to do anything strenuous again, except they allow that I'll be able to walk, as long as I don't walk too fast. And I'm holding on to that and celebrating that, well, even if it is true that I'll never be able to do anything strenuous again, I'll still be able to walk. And maybe I won't be able to push the cart and camp, but I'll be able to continue in some way. That is very exciting to me, and I have the dream, and I don't know if it's possible. I'll be quite honest with you, I don't know. But I have a dream of beginning again on February 11th, which was the day that I stopped walking. from the place where I stopped walking. Now, this would be a whole different kind of walk, but it's my dream to continue. The other thing that happened is I feel like I had to go into a ball. I kind of curled up into a ball. I had to go into silence because I didn't feel like myself and I didn't trust what was coming out of my mouth. In fact, I was kind of horrified by the things that I was saying and the things that I was doing. I just didn't recognize them and I didn't accept myself. I didn't love myself through what I was going through. And I became very uncertain, full of self-doubt, and not compassionate, critical. My mind went into deep criticism. I feel that the wound I'm healing now, that what I'm experiencing and what is going on is related deeply to my infancy, my childhood. So I began to tell the story again of how I was not loved, etc., and I wasn't cared for as an infant and as a child. I didn't have a loving family. I didn't have a loving mother. And then I realized that I already have learned that if you want to change the future, go ahead and change the past. And I don't want to keep suffering that wound. I want to heal that wound. So one of the things that I have been doing is reframing the story to say, those who were in charge of loving me gave me a deeper love than the superficial, than the love on the physical human level. They gave me spiritual love to the extent that their abuse and neglect served my spiritual growth. So at the highest level, in fact, I was loved perfectly and impeccably. And so I'm cultivating this. While my mind wants to keep going back to how I was wounded, I want to go further, higher, and remember the higher truth. As I get better at that, I notice that I'm getting better. I had been in an enormous amount of pain. To walk around with a completely dissected aorta is extraordinarily painful. I'd been on a lot of pain medications. I'd been spending almost all of my time in bed and not able to even take short walks out here, which is near the garden and the meadow, which is just gorgeous and so healing. But now I'm starting to do that again. The other thing that I've realized is I can't do this alone. There's just no way I can do this alone. This is hard. This is hard. And I need my friends. I need love. I need prayers. I need communication, community, support. I need you. So I know that I have disappeared in a way, but I'm back. And I'm going to be diligent about reaching out because I believe that this is crucial to save my life. At this point, I have to live every single day as if this is my last day because nobody knows. And that is an incredible blessing that I can celebrate. How beautiful is that I have no choice but to live every day as if it is my last. But if it is my last day on earth, I certainly don't want to be alone. I need community. So I'd like to ask you now, if you pray for me. And the way that I want you to pray is to say, envision me healthy and at peace, and feel gratitude while you hold that vision and then you give that to God. If you do healing energy, send me healing. I need it. I'm terribly ill. If you write me a letter, write me an email, text me, communicate with me, share with me your life. This sense of community comes from having connection. So I don't really care what you write. Tell me what you're doing today. Tell me what's going on with you. Tell me what you struggle with, what you're learning, what gives you comfort and hope. This would be an incredible blessing for me. I need you. We are, in fact, all a reflection of each other and of God. And so when I see and feel your connection, I am getting closer and closer to the truth, closer and closer to God. So forgive me for having to get into survival mode. Now I need to thrive, and for that I need you. So please, communicate, connect. I love you. I'm so grateful for you. When things are the hardest, what I do is I picture all of your faces, one after the other, until I'm just filled with awe and gratitude. And this heals me. And I thank you. I thank you for that. More, I promise you, will be coming. Namaste.